jump right in to our focus on centers. Ken, the consensus number 1 overall pick.
Got to go to Denver for Nikola Jokic. He's our cover guy for this video. He's everyone's consensus number 1 pick, regardless of format. The Joker's coming off back-to-back fantasy MVP seasons. Some may be concerned about Jamal Murray and hopefully Michael Porter returning. But remember, Murray and MPJ both played a significant amount of games in 2021 when Jokic dominated and won his first MVP. Plus, do we really think Porter's going to stay healthy? I don't. Jokic is only 27 years old, though he looks older, and should have multiple seasons of incredible play ahead of him. Our forecast for him this season, 27 points, 13 boards, 8 assists, 1.5 steals, almost a block, and 1.4 threes per game with great percentages. Drafting Jokic first is a no-brainer. Unless you guys have any conflicting thoughts, Shannon, why don't you tell us about the number 2 center in the first round?
Yeah, the number 2 center, Joel Embiid. We've talked about him a little bit already in the past few episodes. Coming off a monster season, 30.6, 11.7 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 2.6 stocks. We have him basically projected to do about the same. His field goal percentage is not the greatest for a big man, 49.9% last year. He's only had one of his 6 seasons has he eclipsed 50%, but he's strong from the line. He hits 3-pointers as well. I love Embiid as a player. I think he's going to be fantastic for the Sixers this year. The biggest question mark will always be the number of games played. He played a career high 68 games last year. If he repeats and can play 65 to 70 games, then he's going to be well worth the top 10 pick this season. My worries are, 1, the games played, and 2, James Harden's now there for the entire season.
Yeah, I think his percentages or his field goal percentage takes a little bit of a hit because he does shoot so many threes. But I think if he gets better chemistry with James Harden this year and he has Tyrese Maxey as a pick and roll partner as well, maybe there's just better looks inside in general. He doesn't need to take as many threes. Our third first round center is Karl-Anthony Towns. Although I guess this year he's technically playing power forward. I think it'll depend on whatever site you play on in terms of whether or not he qualifies at center. But I think a lot of sites will still have him there. Average ADP of 9.3 right now. Rudy Gobert is now there next to him. I think the shift to power forward, I've talked about this a lot. I mean, it's going to affect his stats. I don't think there's a way that his stat profile looks the exact same. I think we're going to see fewer rebounds, fewer blocks. Although I don't know how fewer blocks for a person 7 feet tall is even possible. He's at like 1 flat block per game, basically. I think he actually have fewer assists as Anthony Edwards takes more handle of the ball, and there's more pick and roll game with Rudy Gobert, stuff like that. But I still understand drafting him in the first round. I think if you're in a 2-center league, he's definitely still a first round value based on the scarcity of the position. I just in a standard 1-center league, I'm taking him a little later past the first round. All right, let's jump into something a little more spicy. Our sleeper centers. Shannon, who do you got?
Well, this is extremely spicy. PJ Washington, big man for Charlotte, with Bridges out probably for the season. I think that's kind of to be determined if there's going to be any disciplinary action for Bridges. I fully expect PJ Washington to step it up and be required to carry a heavier load for the Hornets. I always want to call them the Bobcats. They'll never go away.
Still the Bobcats until they make the playoffs.
Right. PJ Washington, 24-year-old forward center. Depending on the format, he might not be eligible at center. But I like what we've seen from him in the past. He took a slight step back last year, but he had a smaller role. You had the emergence of Bridges at that time. Washington's coming to camp in much better shape this year. no surprise there. That's just the time of year it is where we get those kind of updates. But I like Washington's overall skill set. He's a guy who can get you over 1 steal and 1 block per game. He hits 3-pointers. He hit 1.7 threes last year at about 36.5% clip. He's not the greatest rebounder, but he'll get you, if he's playing 30 minutes, he'll get 6.5, 7 rebounds and has the ability to score. He scored 13 points his sophomore season. I think he has the ability to ratchet that up a little bit, get to 15, 16 points, 6.5, 7 rebounds with the 3-pointers and the defensive stats. I think he's well worth a pick in the top 120.
Bridges leaves a lot of shot attempts to get spread around those Hornets, and Washington seems like the most obvious recipient.
But I digress. Ken, who is your sleeper center?
Let's go to LA for Ivica Zubac. Average ADP of 113. He's cheap. He's even as low as 137 on Underdog. Look, Zubac is the only center in Clipperland. He's got to play. Isaiah Hartenstein's off to New York. Zubac's backup is 82-year-old Robert Covington, who's only 6'7". Zubac has improved in each of his 6 seasons, yet he's only 25 years old. He's a very cheap double-double. He's going to see career-high minutes, probably around 28, 29 this year a game. So that means over 1.5 blocks a game as well, plus a very strong 62-plus field goal percentage. He's practically free in the 9th round in a 12-team league.
So originally I put down Alperen Sengun as my sleeper center, but I am pivoting because we've talked so much Sengun that I don't even know.
Can you talk too much Sengun?
I don't know if he qualifies anymore. I'm starting to think he's like not even really a sleeper. So I'm pivoting to another guy who may also not exactly be a sleeper, but I think his ADP on some sites is absurd. Myles Turner, who is going like 93 on Underdog, or 97, excuse me. And I know that he is a little bit better in roto leagues because of his high free throw percentage, and blocks are weighed a little heavier in roto or category leagues in general than they are in points leagues. But this is a guy who has ranked 4 times in his career, has ranked in the top 40. He's ranked in between 38 and 28 4 times in his 7-year career. I know that there are some questions about Indiana. He's been on the trade block since he was born. They have Isaiah Jackson there, who people are drafting Isaiah Jackson very high as well, hoping that he has a great
and Jalen Smith. They're all excited about Jalen.
And Jalen Smith, who I think is going to start at power forward, which I don't know about that. But I feel like this is potentially the year we've sort of been waiting for Turner, where he's been especially healthy. But I'll pick 100 in Underdog. You got to get him earlier.
For 2.5 blocks a game, maybe more.
Per game value for Turner last season was 25. It depends on what ranks you're looking at. Basketball Monster, 25th overall in per game value, which was good enough for the 8th or 9th best center, who's basically right between Gobert and Vucevic.
Okay, let's jump to a different topic, the overrated centers. I'll jump in here and start. So if he qualifies at center, I'm saying Christian Wood is being overrated this draft season. His ADP is between 46 and 65. He's ranked 61st and 74th the past 2 seasons. So his ADP is basically implying that he's going to get better this year. Again, I feel like I've hammered this home on multiple podcasts. He's coming off the bench. Maybe he plays 30 minutes a game. In theory, just based on talent that's on the Dallas roster, he should be playing 30 minutes a game.
Should have had plenty of shots available to him in Houston.
That's the thing. The coaching was loose in Houston, and he got a lot of minutes and a lot of touches, and that team played fast. And he's still ranked 74th last year. If he does not count as center, I'm going with a guy I really like, Jonas Valanciunas. I really like Valanciunas in general. I think he's very good, but he's going between 50 and 83 on most sites. He ranked 43rd last year. That was without Zion, and that was without McCollum for most of the year. So and Ingram only played 55 games. So there were 20-ish games where Valanciunas was essentially the number one option for the New Orleans Pelicans. So, at least his ADP, his earliest ADP is still behind where he ranked last year, but I think he's going to take a step back this year, and almost literally, because I think he's going to take more threes. But I would not be grabbing him at like 50. I would wait more towards like that 70-ish range personally.
We have no idea how well Valanciunas and Zion are going to play together. That could be a traffic jam in the key, those two.
Keep it rolling with you. You have more of a center situation that you think is overrated.
Yeah, I know we've talked about this team a little bit already, but I'm avoiding, outside of number one overall pick, Banchero, I'm avoiding the Orlando Magic's front court. Wendell Carter, Mo Bamba, both. Wendell Carter's a top 100 pick. He was great last year, played well down the stretch, finished with 15, 10, about 1.3 stocks per game, so not a ton on the defensive end. I'm skeptical that he's going to see enough playing time to repeat. And even if he still plays 30 minutes per game, his usage is going to go down. This team's healthier than they were last year, and they have a new number one overall pick who they're building their team around. You've got Jonathan Isaac, presumably will return to a basketball court at some point in the future. Okiki's still on the team. Mo Bamba, the Wagner brothers. That's a lot of people to fit into three positions.
Yeah. And Carter doesn't block shots.
No.
Center's got to block shots. If you don't get blocks from center, you're hosed in that category.
And Mo Bamba, similar thought process, except for he's a guy he's behind Wendell Carter, another player I don't like. Bamba will probably still see, 15 to 20 minutes per game. I highly doubt he sees the 25, 26 minutes he saw last year. Even in 20 minutes per, he'll get you 1.5 blocks per game. That'll hold value in deeper formats. But if I'm in a 10 or 12 team league, there's no way I'm selecting Bamba. I'm looking elsewhere. He's going as high as 100 on Yahoo. I think that's a supreme reach.
Yeah. All right. Ken, who is your overrated center?
I feel like we mentioned him being overrated every year, but I'm going to go to Washington for Kristaps Porzingis. He's got an average ADP of 58. He's as high as 36 on Fantrax. Over the past 4 seasons, Porzingis has averaged just under 50 games played per season. He can't stay healthy. He cannot bang inside. His rebounds are on a 3-year decline. Honestly, his per-game production's still solid. But his inevitable Monday night injuries are going to drive you crazy all season long. You set your lineup for the week Monday. He gets hurt Monday night. You're eating goose eggs for 7 days or 6 days. Daniel Gafford's looming, and the Wizards really need Gafford's rim protection. Plus, Kyle Kuzma is a legitimate power forward. He averaged 8.5 boards last season. Give me Kuzma at his much lower ADP of 93. I know he'll play 66-plus games. You guys were talking about Carter stats getting beefed up when no one was around. Well, the unicorn strong Washington numbers, they came with both Bradley Beal and Kuzma out for Washington. Washington was in full tank mode. I just don't see it happening for Porzingis. Very happy to let someone else grab him in the high 50s.
Try RotoWire today, free for 10 days. Get our premium tools, rankings, analysis, and breaking news alerts. No credit card required. Go to rotowire.com/try.